Dragon Ball is so back, and with the recent announcement of the Galactic Patrol saga officially being in production, the hype around this series could not be hyper. And I knew it! Things were lining up a little bit too well, with Toei Animations announcing that One Piece would be turning into a seasonal anime after a break stretching from January to April, coinciding with news of a major Dragon Ball event also taking place this month and teasing several important announcements. It has been nearly 8 years since the anime went on hiatus, starting back in March of 2018, and while the manga hasn't been gone for nearly as long, pausing at around March of 2024, it wouldn't be wrong to deduce that the majority of the active hype around a series like this revolves around the anime, with people posting clips that go viral all over different social media, and in general just being the more consumable format for most people in the anime-manga space. Couple that with the manga having also been gone for 2 years, and yeah, even the quieter hype around that has been naturally reduced to dead air for quite some time. However, all of that changed with the snap of a finger during the Genki to Matsuri event this past weekend, celebrating the 40th anniversary of the series, and revealing not only the return of the anime with the Moro arc officially in production, but we are also getting another release of Battle of Gods. But before we get into all of that, be sure to like the video, subscribe, and ring that bell to stay up to date, because we love anime and manga here, we love talking about anime and manga here, and we love talking about how much we love anime and manga here. I talk about more than just Dragon Ball, but chances are if you like this video, you will like my others, so without further ado, let's see what the hype is about. Now, to clarify some important details right off the bat, when it comes to Battle of Gods, we will be getting a full-on remake, not a remaster. It's going to be better paced now, with 6 episodes as opposed to the original 14, as well as better animation, new cuts, and slightly new narrative points to better tie it into the manga. One of the bigger differences being that initially the Super anime leaned more into the humor of the arc, while the manga treated Beerus as a significantly more ominous figure with a more direct approach. And you can tell from the trailer that the re-release is planning to take this angle. What's also important to note is it feels like a lot of people have this misunderstanding that Toei is choosing to remake Battle of Gods instead of just giving us the Moro arc right away, but that's not the case. The new content is definitely going to take a lot more time to come out, and my guess is most likely spring of next year. We don't even have a release date yet, but at the very earliest, possibly winter, but I doubt it. In the meantime, Battle of Gods, or as they're calling it now, Dragon Ball Super Beerus, is meant to tide us over during that wait. So it's either that or nothing, and I'm honestly fine with it, because while the original Dragon Ball Z movie Battle of Gods getting a re-release in the anime felt redundant to a lot of people, Dragon Ball Super Beerus serves as a different take on that narrative, because as we know up to now, the anime and manga have been following somewhat different continuities. And that's because for the longest time, the anime was actually running ahead of the manga, which left Toei Animations being given outlines for the arcs to follow beforehand as opposed to a full-on script, so it left a lot of fill-in-the-blank work to be done. I know there's also been some rumors of a Resurrection F remake following Beerus, but that one would actually be redundant, since the arc basically didn't exist in the manga and was treated as an off-screen event, so just redoing it for no reason would be a massive waste of both time and resources with nothing to gain. Not to mention that arc has been historically poorly received anyways, even among Dragon Ball Super defenders back in the time where Dragon Ball Super was catching a lot of hate at the start. If anything, it would be a much better use of time and resources to remake the Goku Black arc, but I doubt that would happen. This is overall huge though, because it means the anime and manga will finally be merging into a single consistent continuity. Not to mention the switch up on Super as a result of it is going to be generational. See, for the longest time, I've stood by the opinion that everything in Dragon Ball Super from the Tournament of Power and onwards genuinely beats out the majority of Dragon Ball Z, with the exception of the start of the Android saga stretching all the way to early Majin Buu, which was just mwah, chef's kiss. Now, we don't have an official confirmation of the anime returning as a whole outside of just the Galactic Patrol arc, but I think it's safe to assume that it's just going to be seasonal at this point with a new arc every year. We finally get to see the aftermath of the Tournament of Power and what it means for the characters in the series, as this arc pretty much spans across the entire universe with some of the craziest fights and really interesting narratives being spun up. Moro is also probably the first villain in the series that I would consider to be genuinely terrifying, because up to now everyone else has just been really strong and really evil, with most of the fear factor stemming from how hard they can hit. But not only is Moro extremely powerful, he is just a truly scary presence. Now obviously after this we will be getting the Granola arc, but at the absolute earliest we're going to be seeing 2028. And that's if they don't decide to just go on another break, which isn't out of the question, especially considering we haven't had any news on the return of the manga. So we kinda need that back to avoid risking the issue that Super previously ran into with the anime going ahead of the manga. I don't want to talk much about the Granola arc here though, because I definitely don't want to spoil anime onlys, but just know Granola is definitely one of my favorite characters in the series, and you've also probably seen some certain images of Frieza floating around the internet. Now, what I do want to talk about is Superhero, because despite the movie having come out almost 4 years ago back in 2022, The arc is actually chronologically the latest in the Dragon Ball timeline, taking place after both the Galactic Patrol arc and the Granola arc. And you might be asking, wait, so why did it get adapted first? Well, that's because the movie was actually in production before the end of even the Moro arc, since Toriyama felt like it would be a great segue directly out of the Broly movie to focus on Gohan and Piccolo. Especially considering that the Broly movie does not have a manga counterpart. The whole thing was treated as an off-screen event, and you kinda just see Broly on Beerus's planet during the superhero arc in the manga with like a mini 2 or 3 page recap. So with that said, after having a movie focus only on Goku and Vegeta, it just kind of felt right to have one only focus on Piccolo and Gohan. And what did Toei or Toriyama think would happen after this? Well, I don't know. All this to reiterate that the anime and manga were treated as very different continuities for a very long time. And I'm pretty positive we will be getting an anime remake of the superhero saga to tie it back into everything whenever that time rolls around in however many years. It's also worth mentioning that there is a lot of cut content leading up to the events of the movie, focusing primarily on Goten and Trunks since they were major figures in that arc when it came to the manga. Or I guess I should say lots of added content since the movie came out before the arc in the manga. All in all, it's basically a guarantee that we will in fact be seeing an anime remake for that arc in order to tie it better into the current timeline. So to recap, essentially, we're getting Dragon Ball Beerus, which is a 6-episode remake of Battle of Gods meant to better tie into the narrative of the manga, and it's releasing in fall of this year. We're getting the long-awaited Galactic Patrol saga, aka the Moro arc, which is the first fully new content that the Dragon Ball anime has seen in years. It's also safe to assume that the superhero movie will be getting an anime remake when that time comes. And all of this is in order for the anime and manga to better line up with each other and dig itself out of this separate continuity mess. And last but not least, there's unfortunately no confirmation on the return of the manga quite yet. Nor is there verbal confirmation on the fact that the show will be seasonal past just the Moro arc. But yeah, that's basically it. I'm excited, man. I love Dragon Ball, and I've been an avid enjoyer of Super throughout my entire journey of it, despite the issues that it very kind of objectively had during the start, so I'm glad they're cleaning up around the edges and getting everybody else excited for it again. And once again, if you like this video, feel free to like, subscribe, and ring that bell to stay up to date, because we love anime and manga here, we love talking about anime and manga here, and we love talking about how much we love anime and manga here. And chances are, if you liked one of my videos, you'll probably like all of my videos. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go back to binging the Gachiakuda manga because this series is also way too fire. So I hope y'all have a blessed day, and I will see you all in the next one.